Professor Yamni, the first question to you is that we have seen a very significant rise in export, and also we have seen significant rise in import also. How do you read these data?
Well, overall, there has been a change in the economic conditions after the pandemic because of the overall consumer demand that has risen after the pandemic, and especially after the vaccination program has gone through and the economies have started recovering. We do see that overall consumption by the consumers have increased. Also, we do see that there is pent-up demand, which is also existing in the market. And then there is overall very aggressive strategy adopted by the government to push forward the exports.
Okay. What are the key factors which is really helping in increasing the export?
Well, overall, if you look at the exports market, it is important to understand that the overall business ecosystem that has been there in the economy is fast changing with the logistics that are available within, the huge amount of expenditure that is being done on the infrastructure, especially the digital infrastructure, which is bringing about a sea change in the platforms that are available for e-governance, like a single platform for all approvals. Also, when we see for businesses, there is rationalization of taxes, especially for the MSMEs. So we do see that, and we also see because there is a notional reform that is going on even in the market with one power grid structure. These all reforms are taking forward the exports market for greater height.
And do you think that when we are talking about PMGati Shakti, which aims to bring down the logistic cost, this is going to help the export further?
Well, it's important to see that, for the exports, that the business environment is very good. So when the compliances, like 25,000 compliances go away, or when you have rationalization of taxes, or you have the infrastructure built up, which is a multimodal infrastructure connecting ports, airports, roads, railways, and starting of new infrastructure, then we do hope that the entire scheme should lead to better business opportunities for startups as well as local producers in the economy.
One thing is slightly, do you think the worrying factor is import is high, and that is also having an impact on overall trade deficit? Do you see any concern on that?
Well, yes, an important factor in the trade deficit is the fact that the imports continue to be high, and specifically in many of the items which are of necessities. So we do feel that, the trade deficit causes much of worry over there. But then overall, since the economic system is somewhere or the other supporting local traders, whether it is, putting them in the MSME ecosystems, or whether it's providing the necessary infrastructure, all of that does somewhere or the other puts up with the certainty that there would be reduced dependence on the imports.
One key element of import is the gold. The good thing is that it has come down by 40%, but at the same time, silver import has gone up by 9%. How do you see these two numbers?
Well, gold has always been consumption item in India, primarily because one looks at it as a saving and also as an ornament to be worn. So both the factors, and since India is one of the largest consumers, gold continues to be one of our major imports as well. Again, it has become a safe haven investment for people. So overall, that is one of the reasons for the prices of gold. When we look at silver, again, metals have increased in its prices overall in the world market. So if you look at the commodities market today, you do see an increase in the prices and an increase in the consumption because of its use in semiconductors or in other items which may be used in IT companies.
And do you see that now we are on the right track to achieve 400 billion target this year?
Well, overall, the infrastructure provisions, the governance provisions do support the ecosystem for a greater export. The 4 pillars identified by the NITI Aayog remains to be, which we talk about, policy, business ecosystem, and export performances. What is important is to have a greater quality in the exports that are there, for which the council needs to create requisite avenues and policies to ensure that quality exports take place.
And what more can be done now? Because now we are at a situation when we have to, we say that press the gas kind of thing. So what more can be done to have a greater share in the global supply chain? Because at this moment, the global supply chain share, our share in global supply chain is still very low.
Well, overall, again, one needs to recognize which are the paths where we can play a key role and co-exports provider. Let's say, for example, even in the textiles, we have a high potential of exports. We have a high potential in millets. We already have a strong potential in the services market, as well as we have a strong potential in a lot of other items that are there. So, in the globe to be a participant in the core areas that we can supply for.
But in the year 2022, we are expecting some kind of slowdown in the global economy scenario. Do you think that this will have any impact on our export?
Yes, it does have an impact because overall exports are dependent upon the world markets. So if there is an effect of the variant of COVID on the world markets as well as of the geopolitical tensions that are going on, then it will directly affect our markets also. But because the overall exports continue to be some of the basic inputs that are there, like agro or the others, we do have a potential to actually increase our exports over the time.
And the one key factor is the agri export. This year is expected to be 43 billion, which is a record one. And the agriculture is the only sector during last 2 years which has seen a very good growth. So how do you see the potential of agri export?
Well, agriculture has a strong potential because we do have, when we talk about our geographical zones, about 8 geographical zones and diverse agriculture produce. What remains important in the component is how do we value add the agriculture producers. So in the budget, there was a corridor for organic farming to be laid in the Ganga River. But when we talk about organic farming and other value-added food processes, they will add value to the agriculture and allied products.
See, we have seen mercantile export growth of 25% plus. But in terms of services, we have seen a growth of over 54% in the month of January if we compare with the January 2021. And it is also better than the pre-pandemic one. So what kind of potential and what kind of progress you see in terms of services growth?
I do see a strong potential in the services growth because India again has been one of the major suppliers of services in the world economies. Again, as I said, IT, financial services, medical services, tourism, and other services do play an important role in the market. So these will have a positive role to play in the services market itself.
And in terms of overall export strategy, whether we talk about merchandise and services or we combine both. So what will be the two key things which you think the government should put it on focus or should be put it on the priority so that whatsoever export growth we have, both merchandise as well as the services one, will have a much faster growth rate and that will also help in the manufacturing sector?
Well, it's important to first identify on the quality aspect and the products which are needed internationally by the market. And second is the strong marketing potential to be provided to the specialty products in the financial credit made available to the MSMEs would be of great help.
And in terms of manufacturing, because our target is to take it to 25%, at this moment it is 15 to 16%. So how do you see the manufacturing sector and how do you see that the export will help manufacturing to grow? What are the key elements which needs to be kept in mind before talking about the strategy for manufacturing?
Well, the PIS scheme is already there available now by the government, made available by the government. Also leading to a key infrastructure requirements which includes the roads, railways, ports, airports, which decreases the overall logistics through the Gati Shakti scheme. Also a strong concentration on key markets which includes agriculture, marine, as well as semiconductors or AI or renewable energy or many other sources which are sunrise sources will also be an important means of developing manufacturing in India. Again, looking at the export potential, what would become important is to see that we do continue to remain services economy, and that potential should be fostered with rationalized taxes, both at the GST level as well as at the income tax level. So GST rationalization is also like cause an increase in the manufacturing.